So there's a lot going on here in this question. I'm multiplying in the numerator r to the 5 halves times r to the negative half. So I'm going to add these two exponents and leave the denominator as is for now. So that's r to the 5 halves plus negative a half or minus 1 half. And that equals r to the 4 halves over r to the negative 3 halves. It was nice that these had a common denominator. Moving on, 4 divided by 2 is 2, so I'm going to simplify the exponent in the numerator, and I have r to the negative 3 halves. Next step is I'm going to divide these exponents. Divide these powers, which means I'm going to subtract the exponents. So that's r to the 2 minus negative 3 halves, which equals r2 plus 3 halves, because a negative and a negative are addition. And then we're going to find a common denominator of 2. So it's 4 halves plus 3 halves, which equals 7 halves. In the second example, there's a lot to simplify inside the bracket before we apply this 1 half. So 36 is going to stay. 1/5 and negative 1/5, I'm going to subtract those exponents. So s to the 1/5 minus negative 9/5. And same with the t's, t negative 3 halves minus 1 half. And all that is raised to the power of 1 half. So that's 36. I'm going to add these. So I've got 10/5. And the t minus negative 3 halves minus a half is negative 4 halves, all to the power of a half. Simplifying one more time inside the bracket, 10 divided by 5 is 2. And negative 4 divided by 2 is 2. So getting pretty simple inside the bracket here. And now I'm going to apply this 1 half to each of the terms inside the bracket. First, it's 36 to the half, s2 to the half, so that's 2 times a half, and t to negative 2 times 1 half, because you have to multiply the exponents. So the 36 to the half is the square root of 36. 2 times 1 half is 1. And negative 2 times a half is negative 1. And finally, the square root of 36 is 6. S, and this t here moves into the denominator because of the negative exponent. So it's 6s over t.